But thank you so much because I've been doing this project for I'd say 6 months now, and this is by far the best, most well polished album of work I've came across that was not on the internet yet, and I have really enjoyed listening to
Well, I'm tickled to hear that. I'm surprised.
it. Well, yeah, and I'm close to you guys, being from Tennessee, but I'd love to hear some about like Lansing's local music community back in the day, and if you guys had any events you did weekly or played music around town, and y'all's travels when you were with the band. I would love to hear some about that.
Oh gosh, well, yeah, we played we played every weekend somewhere. It was either a square dance or a fiddlers convention or private parties, stuff like that. We played a whole lot, and we had all those kids with us, so it was quite the treat.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest things about that album cover when I got it, was the fact that you guys were jamming out with the whole family there and had some kids listening, growing up around the music. That immediately drew me to the album and made me pick it up and examine it for more information. But and that's the thing that's dead in society today. My generation doesn't have square dances or fiddlers conventions or anything like that. And a big part of this website is, I think, in the past generation or two, music being a household thing and people being musically educated, and being able to play, that's completely dwindled out. And I hope to see a resurgence of that in the household and my generation.
Yeah, I think way back it was more popular. We'd have what we'd call a hoot nanny on Friday night.
Oh yeah.
We'd get together and play, and then usually, like I said, on Saturdays and weekends, we'd there used to be a restaurant in Crumpler where I was raised, and it was called Chatley Springs,
Hmm.
and they cooking and had people from all over, and we go there on weekends and play.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff, and I will say, like, I've got some questions too. The Baby-O, some of the tracks on here are really old time country tracks, and some of them are even hard to find renditions of anymore. Like the Baby-O, the first track on that album, that's actually a hard track to hear anymore, and I've really enjoyed listening to y'all's version of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it originates. I learned it from Albert Hash. That's who I was taking lessons from, and he knew all. I mean, he had a big repertoire, but you don't hear it much, hardly ever.
Right. Yeah, and I did read your biography some, and I noticed like a lot of resemblances with my own personal life. Like I grew up around music too, and I wasn't really attracted to it at first until I was about 30. I'm actually about 30 now. I grew up around country in the South, and I wasn't drawn to it at a younger age. But the older I got, I bought me an old 80s car back when I was about 20, and it had a Conway Twitty cassette deck in it, and I threw that in there, and that's what started me on a deep journey of country. And I'm still learning more and more about old time and the subgenres of country. And that does lead into a question of like, what made you guys want to play old time? And if there's anything you want to tell me or teach me about old time, I also would love to listen, because I'm still learning. And I do know that that laid the foundation for bluegrass and it was a predecessor to it. So I am fascinated by it. It's very interesting to learn more and more about this rich historical genre.
It is, and the more you get into it, the more you learn. And
Right.
out here in the mountains, we were blessed to have so many players, and so many people to learn from. And like I said, I learned from Albert Hash, and he lived in the White Top Mountain in Virginia and played and made fiddles. And,
That's so impressive.
yeah, I grew up around him. And like, I don't know, I said, oh, this is terrible. I, but my uncle played the banjo. He's playing banjo on that tape. And I had moved to Winston-Salem and was working for R.J. Reynolds. And read in the county paper that Albert was giving lessons, and I said, I've got to go home.
Good
So,
for you. I'm about to start picking it up myself, and I will say, yeah, I'm impressed with your musical history and the fact you're still playing to this day, and the fact that you took up my call and everything. You are absolutely awesome. And did you play on that album by any chance, or did you see yourself on that cover, or was this before or after you were in the band?
no, that's who the band was. The people that are playing the instruments, that was the band.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Well, good. And let's see. Yeah, I was gonna say, is there anything that stood out to you in your musical experiences in your musical career that you would say was a special event or memory, or maybe even like an accomplishment or achievement?
Well, to me, every day is an achievement.
Yeah, I like that. And you
Yeah.
can play clawhammer banjo too, can't you?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's an old school style. I need to learn that myself. I'm all about the old school folk music. That actually leads into a good one. Do you have a favorite old time track that is your like favorite to play?
Well, I guess it would be Hangman's Reel that we play that I learned from Albert, and it's really popular and has been played a lot over the years, and I think it originates maybe from Canada, and they play a really, really, really different version that's got three or four parts to it, but I'm not sure where I learned it, but I learned it from him.
Well, that is really cool. I even looked that up as you said it. I didn't know that track. And Google did credit Albert Hash with it. I'm sure it came, that's what's so interesting about folk music. You can listen to a song and it might have a different verse or a different composition entirely based on a different region. And that's so admirable. And it just shows you how word of mouth can influence things and change works of art and things around you. So I find that fascinating. And so how old were you when you joined the Walnut Hill band?
I was in my 30s. I can't remember exactly. My kids were little, and yeah, 30 something.
Did you guys make a few albums, or was this the only recording that you think they actually like sat down to create?
We had another one. I think we had two. Yeah.
So I got to find the other one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to send you this after I get off the phone with you. If you do want me to mail you this, this copy's yours. It
Okay.
is yours.
Well, that'd be great. I'd love to have it. I don't think I've got it.
Well, that's what you deserve. You picked up my call. I've actually been hung up on doing this before. So
Oh,
I really
that's
appreciate your time, and you have so much experience that can't really even be put into words. Like to play old time and to come from the hills of North Carolina, that's a beautiful experience that could be gone in a few generations if this household music doesn't get an uptick. Like that really is a beautiful story you have, and it's a gorgeous album.
well. I appreciate that. It was, none of us had been playing very long. I started, I didn't start until I was in my 30s learning to play the fiddle, and so
That's
that
impressive too. Like that makes me feel better about me learning at my age.
well, it's never too late. It does help to have somebody like Albert, but it's hard to find. All the old timers are just about gone, and
Yeah.
very lucky I got to hang out with a lot of, the ones that are past. And the more you travel and the more you're in this music and are around other musicians, you realize it is a big thing,
Yeah.
and have music camps all over, and like Swananoa and Mars Hill, they all have camps where people go and spend a whole week and learn from other people. And I never was able to do that because my kids were little and I didn't have the money. So I've been
um.
able
Oh,
to
sorry.
other. No, you're fine.
Sorry to interrupt you. I apologize. Would you say the music community's still good over there on your side of the country, even though we're
Yes,
close together?
it is. There. Well, I actually have an old store on my place. I live on my grandparents' old dairy farm, and they ran a store. It's an old country store, and we have a jam on Friday nights.
Oh no
And
way!
yeah, it's the Phipps store. It's on Facebook if you want to look it up.
I would love
Uh,
to. The fifth store.
Phipps, Phipps,
Oh, you said P. Can you spell it one more time? I'm sorry.
Phipps, Phipps.
Oh, Phipps.
Uh huh.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and we get together every Friday night, and it's open to the public, so there's no telling what might come in. We had a didgeridoo one night, but that was fun.
Well, that
But
is so cool. Thank you so much for keeping their store open. I promise you, that's going to be an experience people will never forget. We don't have anything like that over here in Cleveland or Chattanooga. We're so much more like industrialized. Even in my life, I've watched these cities, grow so large to the point it doesn't even feel like a small town anymore.
Oh, that's a shame. I understand though, because that's just inevitable, I think. But we try to keep it, the same around here. Of course, things are changing. And Helene, it wrecked the town of Lansing, but they've come back and it's rebuilt, and it's
You
better.
know,
And
they sent me up there to help out with all that. I work at Publix, and I'll let you
oh,
go after this. I don't want to hold you too long, but I work at Publix in the deli, and I'm in Chattanooga, so I'm about 6 hours away from y'all. And I'll give you a quick anecdote. Publix is a Florida-based company, so they have really good disaster relief programs since they get so many hurricanes down
uh,
there. And they poured billions of dollars into making sure that things would be okay up there. Like it brought me to the point of almost tears because I just make sandwiches for a job, and that can feel like a mundane or unimportant task. But when I went up there, we were driving 6 hours a day, staying in Kodak, Tennessee, going around the backside of the mountain up in Asheville because the I-40 was shut down, and we'd be
right
behind a semi truck, and it'd take you 6 hours to get to work. And we'd get there, and the laws weren't the same as Cleveland and Tennessee. Every 6 hours, you have to take a lunch break by the law. It's different up there. So I'd go up there and I'd work 8 hours straight. And
now.
people would thank me so much for doing my job. I'll never forget.
Well,
We just had started a facility where we make the sandwiches that are grab and go. You can just grab a sandwich we made on the shelf. We
uh-huh,
just started doing that in a facility that's maintained at 30 degrees or 40 degrees. So those sandwiches started coming in three or four hundreds, and that was the only meal a lot of people were getting. The Whole
right.
Foods over there, or the grocery store next to it, had their cooler had caught on fire during all this. And I remember when I would come into Asheville, I would watch the smog and the dust set in the sediments come into the air and it become browner. And I would watch my phone service dwindle away. And as I went in there, the only place to get a meal would be Publix. And over 200 people up there, amazing human beings, stopped and thanked me for just being there. And it made me feel like a bad person because I was up there getting paid well. And all these people are thanking me for doing my job, but I'm getting paid to do it anyways. And it
Oh,
just reminded me this is such an important job. A lot of the times, this is the only conversation someone might be having getting out of the house. And it just
right.
reminded me, it's good to work at a grocery store because if stuff hits the fan, they need people that are good folks to be essential workers and to provide groceries to the community. It was extremely eye opening.
That's so cool, and you're exactly right. And I know everybody appreciates that. That's Lansing would have been sunk if it hadn't been for people volunteering and coming in and sending food and money, and it's just been such a blessing. And
That's
you're the
honest. Oh, what were you going to say? Well, I will say, well, we're blessed to have North Carolina. It's a beautiful state, and I could say bluegrass, old time, and country music, and this country would not be the same without such a beautiful place. My family comes from there, and I'm wanting to trace more of my family's lineage. But I had an Aunt Faye that lived out in North Carolina, and I love the old school names and Appalachian names, and I like to see that having a resurgence with my generation. And
yeah,
I just am really grateful that you mentioned the hurricane and how everything was processed, and it had some really dark moments, but it goes to show you that the community can band together, and as much as the times might change us, we're still the same humans deep down.
absolutely. And it was amazing how the musicians actually gathered together and played for benefits and things. And so music is it's more than just entertainment. It bonds people together.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you so much for your time with me. And yeah, I'll send this your way, and I will
Okay.
keep my eyes peeled for anything else I can get a hold of. And I'll send you over this article. So when we get off the phone, I've digitized this album, and there is an article up, but there's only one paragraph, and it basically says that it's a placeholder so I can finish writing the article. But
Oh,
when I send you this link, you can just listen to the entire album. I've segmented it track by track, so it's easy and organized. And
cool.
you have you a good time, and I will send this in the mail sometime this week, and I will let you know once I send it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. No, seriously, it means the world to me. My name's Noah Marr, and I really appreciate you chatting with me. This is a piece of history I'm beyond happy to preserve, and you are somebody that I look forward to interviewing, and you've made my day today.
Well, I appreciate that. And you've made mine too. I'll
Well, I hope you have a fun time with your company, and I appreciate you taking some time out of your day.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and I appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am, Rita. You have a good one.
Thanks. You too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.